The morning session of day one of final exams at the University of the West Indies, Mona, had to be called off on Monday, April 30, when protesting students stormed the exam center. The students pounded desks and chanted the national anthem as they demonstrated against the decision of the university to bar those in arrears from sitting their exams. Mere minutes after the protest, both the administration and the students began talks aimed at resolving the issue. By late afternoon, they would reach a compromise. Students in arrears would still not get the chance to sit the exams currently on, but they have been given a new deadline of July 31 to clear their balances. Once they meet the deadline, they will get the chance to sit supplementary exams in the summer. Another sticking point was the combination of hall fees and tuition fees for resident students, but the university has agreed to separate them. It means only the tuition portion will be considered in determining the eligibility of resident students to sit their exams this summer.
Yeah, well, essentially they were, I suppose, disgruntled, as I guess students would be, because we had taken a decision to bar students who had not settled their fees or had not made any payment plans with us. They wouldn't have been able to do their exams, and they were not satisfied with that. They were a little bit saddened at the fact that we had put all fees together. So some persons who might have paid a portion of their tuition fees but had been delinquent on their hall fees would have been considered in the same way. So we have discussed that, and I think we have come to a mutually agreeable position, and I think they are comfortable with it where they are now. Well, essentially we have decided to separate the hall fees from the tuition fees for this time around, and that will free up maybe another, not that many students, maybe another 150 students who might have been delinquent because of the extensive amount of hall fees owing, and they seem comfortable with that. We've also reached a compromise with respect to how we will treat those students who won't be able to do their exams, and the university is willing at our own expense to put on a set of supplementary exams in the summer if they are able to meet their fees by the end of July, which is the end of our academic year, and they have agreed to that. I think the situation is very clear to all of us. It is a difficult financial situation. As I said this morning on radio, our subvention have been cut by a significant amount, 1.5 billion in 18 months. You have to be a very resilient institution to withstand that cut in such a short period of time. So we are hoping that they will find a means of paying. Some may have to choose to work and come back. We're always here for them to return to university if they aren't able to pay at this time. But what we do know is that we have to deal with our delinquency in a very forceful and a very firm way.
Well, from what I've heard is that for the 9 o'clock exam, students, well, they were having protests by the gate, then they moved up to the assembly hall and the tent, and they went in the exam, tear up papers and turn over desks and all of that. Well, I agree with the protest, but I don't agree with them going in the exam and disrupting people's exam, because that's kind of unfair to other students. It can really be, that's kind of selfish, and I don't agree with the selfish type of behavior. Well, the reason they did this was because they have, in their view, well, and in my view as well, they exhausted all that process, and I guess they think this was the last option, and that's why they did it. But I still don't agree with them going into the exam. I think they should have stayed outside and make some noise.
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize to every student that was disrupted this morning in their exams. The Guild of Students sent out no word for any student to go and disrupt exams. What happened is that the crowd got a bit irate because they're expecting the media to come to cover what was going on and to bring publicity to the university so that the university administration could come in. And two, after the peaceful protest and all that, they thought that enough wasn't being done, so they barged into the exams, blah, blah, blah. We had no control over that. Large gatherings, these things could or could not happen. So I would like to personally apologize because I was the one who gathered a peaceful protest which turned irate. Second of all, the university, through the negotiations, we brought them up in our concern once more, because you have to remember that we represent students. So even though we were representing for the persons who were quote-unquote delinquent or couldn't pay, we then again advocated for the persons who were affected by the disruption earlier today. And the university has agreed to reschedule the exam sometime soon. Yes, I do think the university could have done more, because personally we don't just get up and protest. Hey, what's up this morning? I feel the protest. That's how it works. We protest as a last resort. So we sent emails, we had discussions, we had meetings, and nothing happened. We propose reasonable, and when we say reasonable, we mean reasonable proposals to the university, and yet still nothing came of it. So we realized that we had to do something drastic, and that the thing we had to do drastic was a protest, and it led to something else which we didn't really plan, but again, it's a means to an end. And I apologize once more on behalf of the guild for what has happened, but we have won today. It may or may not, but what we tried to do here today was try to ensure that students could get a sit exam. We achieved that. And the university must also remember in their plight to unravel or unveil West Indian culture and potential, is that we can't do it on a hard and fast manner. And I'm not saying that they've always been hard and fast, but I'm saying you probably need to be a bit more reasonable. One, we're the only campus that the students have to pay for tuition. Two, we live in a country where it's economically hard. There are a lot of persons who know that, okay, we're a third world developing country, the only way to advance yourself to develop is through education, but yet still we can't afford it. The students don't have the money sitting down. If they could have paid it, I wouldn't be here talking to you. They just can't pay it. So what we are saying is that let them sit the exams and don't mark the papers. Don't let them graduate. Withhold the grades, but let them sit the exams. It doesn't make sense you come to school for a year, you pay, you come on the miscellaneous, you come on the mid-semester, you come and you sit exams during the year, you do coursework, you have lunch, you iron your transportation to come to school, and you still can't sit exam. That defeats the purpose. And also defeats the purpose not on a university level but also on a national level, because you and I as taxpayers and everyone contribute to the government, and the government takes that money that we contribute to them out of tax and pays us a subsidy to the university on our behalf. So it can't be that I spend 2 years on a semester and I can't pay for the last semester and I drop out of school because I can't pay. The government and the taxpayers' money is going to be lost. How do I apologize on behalf of my mother and father who is paying not only for me to come here fully, but also the tax? Doesn't make any sense.